what we try and do was give companies £1 million the day after they apply for a loan without even meeting them. So, and I think that kind of speaks to a whole range of problems that companies have, and also the kind of categories and taxonomies that we have to understand things like fraud, AML, often bleed into each other. So in terms of identity, in terms of knowing who the customers are, and then having defaults from the loans, that often stems from either fraud or the companies having distress situations, which then lead to fraud.
How were you actually able to decide whether business should be, they should be able to apply, and they should, in the end, get those services? Were you able to automate any of the KYB processes, and what was that something that you were struggling with? Like, I'm particularly interested in that field.
Yeah, so I built the entire end-to-end stack for orchestrating not only the lead generation, but also the holistic risk assessment of those companies as well, both in terms of like identifying which companies had a high propensity to sign up to the service in terms of numbers of directors and liens against book debts, cash availability, growth rates, different sectors, but then also determining which ones were fraudulent, and also verifying the actual asset, which was the underlying invoice in that question. And so we had problems with fraud in terms of companies would try and impersonate debtors, right? They'd say, listen, we have $1 million coming in next week from Shell, BP, Tesco, and they didn't. And they try and set up fake websites like TescoReceivables.com. Probably the simplest answer is it's a database of terrorists, right? So, and it answers the question, is this person bad, right? There are other companies doing, is this person who they say they are? Is this person the same as the passport? Is this person alive today? All those things. But fundamentally, what we have is a database of 15 million high-risk people and companies. And that could be, there's adverse media about them, then the press being linked to wildlife trafficking or human trafficking. They are subject to an asset freeze and a travel ban by the US government. So we have companies like eToro, Affirm, who have 20, 30, 40 million clients, and you have huge compliance teams, and you need to know, okay, 5 of my clients have just been linked to a Mexican drug cartel. And if I look at my accounts, then I can see they funnel through my system and my crypto exchange $30 million. The story over the past 10 years is just simply one of increasing obligations and regulations and more onerous strategies to tackle the perceived threats around money laundering and terrorist financing.